And that shot there, I don't know if you want to break down the shots or not, but
So, yeah, I'm not really sure what that shot was. Now, the first 3 shots you hear when this first starts is coming from the suspect sniper that's on the opposite building. And then you hear a series of rounds that follow it, which the loud concussion one is going to be the sniper shot. Whatever
Like what happened?
that was, whatever when we get to it here, there's that one incidental
that
shot that you hear afterwards. It sounds to me like that's coming to uh, former President Trump's left shoulder because you can see people looking that way. So I don't know. Could there be an accidental discharge? Sure. Was it another shot from a counter sniper somewhere else? I don't know. But that to me sounds more like a pistol than it does a rifle, or especially a high powered rifle like the sniper rifles. So I don't know if that was an accidental discharge or somebody freaking out in that moment. I just don't
Yeah,
know.
I've asked people about what that was and haven't got a clear answer. Let's listen again, and then we're going to go back
Mhm.
to that moment where they're covering him. But let's just listen now more intently on those shots.
Do you want to pause it right there?
Yep.
So if you rewind about 10 seconds after the shots have rung out, now you know that's coming from the suspected sniper, the return fire. Look at the crowd's reaction when you hear that other round and then you hear the scream. That's where I think there's an accidental discharge. Look at where the crowd looks. Keep playing
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
See how they're all now looking to the
They're
right?
all looking the other way. Yeah, that's very interesting. And even some of them are like that guy starts to stand up to see what's going on.
Correct.
Wow.
So like I said, I have no confirmation one way or another, just taking a pure guess, and I don't want to spread rumors or anything like that. But in my own opinion, I believe that to be an accidental discharge.
Hmm. From an audience member.
No, probably somebody that's allowed to be armed. There shouldn't be any audience members in there armed. So, uh, you know, that's got to be coming from somebody in law enforcement.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah, they
Very.
won't let anybody. They will not let any armed person within eyesight of the protectee unless you are a certified law enforcement professional.
Okay. So that's the only option then.
Correct. It's my opinion, of course. We'll find out in time.
I hope we find out in time. I think the uh last time that an investigation took place in a situation like this, it was like almost a year, 44 weeks or something like that before any type of information was made publicly available. Uh, there's some luxuries that
Well,
we have now that maybe didn't exist in that era, which is, we're able to get on YouTube and talk about it and have video replay that they didn't have.
well, this is definitely going to take some time. I don't think anybody should be out there expecting answers by the end of the week or next week. There's going to be congressional hearings. There's going to be, the FBI now has jurisdiction on this, and so they're going to go through every single piece of it because when they put it out, it's supposed to be factual and true to its core. So you want it to be accurate. You don't want it to be misleading. You want it to know exactly what had taken place, how this happened, and then from there, any corrective actions that need to be taken, whether it be, how they set up their perimeters, the ring of security that they're going to do, or how they invite other law enforcement professionals to participate in these events or rallies, or is it even internal disciplinary actions? All that's going to come in time.
I heard a former agent talking about what it was like to be on the Trump detail and working. He said, unfortunately, with local law enforcement, can sometimes be challenging because they're not used to the showmanship that Trump carries, and they get distracted on the job. And he said he hates to make such a broad classification like that, but he's seen it happen again and again and again and again in these types of environments. I mean, and Trump is more of of a unique kind of a character in the political realm that when he comes, it is a show, and there is music, and there is fanfare, and it does engage people differently.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, he's definitely different than other candidates. He conducts himself and carries himself different than a lot of others. But the Secret Service personnel, they're all Type A's. They're dedicated to their job. They're there to protect the office of the president. So it doesn't really matter who it is. They're going to do their job to the best of their abilities. And I know that's ironic to say that after what just happened the other day, but they are hardworking professionals. I will say that President Obama was very much, he was loved by many. He was very personable with people as well, and he used to do a lot of things like want to go to Five Guys and get a burger on a Friday evening, and
Mm,
and it was, you had about a 5 minute head start notice.
yep.
And he would walk there sometimes. I mean, it wasn't just send the butler. So they do these off the record movements, or things that aren't supposed to happen, and you just have to adjust to it and do the best you can, and rely on your training and your experience, and be able to give them the best protection possible.
That would have to be one of the most difficult parts of the job, right? I heard Michelle Obama actually talking about when a certain legislation was passed in the White House and a bunch of people came outside and was trying to celebrate it, that her and one of the daughters actually attempted to sneak out of the White House to go celebrate with people on the streets, and the secret the Secret Service stopped them before they could make it out of the house.
Absolutely. I mean, there's certain times that you got to stop them. You got to, prevent something from happening, an accident you just can't manage. But for the most part, they know what's going on. They know what could potentially happen, and they're usually very good and very respectful on listening to the advice of the agent in charge that's there with them, and on whether this is a good idea or a bad idea, or can we pull this off. Um, they usually are pretty good at listening and taking that in, and they understand the job, and how difficult it can be.
So what we're seeing now on the screen is, some final shots go off, maybe a recoil shot that you mentioned, and you start to hear the Secret Service sort of. It feels like they're mic'd
Mhm.
up, but that mic that Trump was using, I think, was just extra sensitive. Is that your take?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a microphone on him. There's also one right above that podium that can still pick up things. You have the media's microphones that are there, so it's not a surprise that they're able to pick it up. Remember, all the Secret Service have their earpieces in; they're on their channels, and so information is flowing back and forth as they're on that stage. Now, the gentleman you see there, to the well, be I was looking at the screen, our left of the T in Trump, the agent that's kind of standing up a little bit, the buzz
Mhm.
cut there. Um,
Yep.
that to me, in my opinion, that would be the agent in charge, because he's the one who goes up there and starts taking charge of what's going on, giving the direction of what's going on. So that there, in my opinion, that's your leader for the service.
Let's hear what happens. I know you've watched it a million times, but
Moving his hair. Hold. When you're ready, on you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go.
when you're ready, on you, move up, up.
hmm So I will tell you a few things that's probably going on there. Okay, so when they first tackle them and they get them down on the ground, they're going to create that human shield that I've mentioned before. But there's other things they're going to do too. Remember, I told you a lot of times you can get shot and not even know that you were shot. A perfect example of that, President Reagan. When President Reagan had no idea he was shot until he was in the limo. And it wasn't until his agents got on top of him to keep him protected. And typical protocol, what you're going to do is you're going to pat him down. You're going to check. We do the same thing in the military when you're in combat. If somebody gets hurt or goes down or anything, you're going to check him for bullet wounds, exit wounds, and you want to do a full sweep from head to toe. So more than likely, they're checking that. They're looking to see. They can see the obvious blood coming from his ear that's on his face. They're going to make sure there's no penetration, into his brain that he doesn't know about. Checking shoulders, chest, anywhere that he would have been visible. They're going to start putting their hands on it to check it. So that's one of the things they're going to be doing while they're on the ground as well. Plus, they're listening to the transmissions to hear what is going on with the shooter.
Okay. Yeah, because they're not gonna move right until that shooter's taken care
Well,
of.
you have to make sure that you've isolated that threat. Now, uh, they're hearing that going on. They now probably at this point know from the counter sniper team that took that shot that, hey, shooter's down. They know it. They know it without a doubt, right? But what they have to do here is they have to be able to move in unison. So they're saying, when you're ready to move, move, move. And so they're trying to do it as a group because you still have to protect the protectee. And you don't want there to be a clear line of sight in the event that the shooter himself isn't all the way down or isn't completely, taken out of the scenario. But you also have to keep in mind, what if there's a second sniper, right? What if there's another one from the other side of the field? So those are all things that they've got to take into account. I personally don't believe they did a very good job at the secondary aspect of it, but the initial movement to get on the stage, get him on the ground, get him surrounded, and start doing those checks, those Secret Service agents you see on top of him, in my opinion, did an excellent job with that response.